As the mercury steadily rises with summer just around the corner, the risk of heat stroke becomes a significant threat. Joining us to share how to keep both adults, kids, and pets safe from exposure is Laura Kondor, Fire Safety Coordinator and Captain of the North Charleston Fire Department. Good to have you back.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, so heat stroke is one of those things that kind of sneaks up on you.
Yes.
And you don't even realize. So what are some of the contributing factors of one who's susceptible to getting heat stroke?
Sure. So heat stroke happens in vehicular heat stroke is specifically what we're talking about. And it happens when the temperature outside starts to increase, especially during the summertime, and the vehicle inside the vehicle is also going to increase. And what we see is that you can have almost a 20 degrees difference between outside air and inside air of the vehicle. And that's when we start getting into trouble. When there's no air movement in the car and we leave either adults that are vulnerable in the car, children and pets, we can't regulate our body temperature very well when we have this increased heat potentially.
Yeah, it's like an oven.
It is an oven basically.
Yeah,
especially when you put the car on hot asphalt and parking lots and garages and things like that, then the temperature also will increase around the vehicle and then inside the vehicle.
You know, you're always surprised and so saddened when you hear these stories of children who are forgotten in the back seat.
Yes.
And let's just say the parent is distracted and they forgot. What can we do to make sure that they check their back seat before they walk away from that vehicle?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we see is that about 54% of the time it's out of routine for that caregiver that they usually forget about the child. So we have to make sure that we leave reminders, as you said. So we go off of the acronym called ACT. So A is going to be for avoiding that situation. So we should never leave children, dogs, or animals in general, anybody in the car, even adults, unattended for long periods of times at actually no time at all. They should be coming with you when you leave the vehicle. Then C is going to be looking around and seeing reminders of objects you can put in the back seat and the front seat, sticky notes. A lot of vehicles nowadays actually send a reminder on the dashboard that says check the back seat.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yes.
My new vehicle does that. It's a wonderful reminder. Other things, putting just even like a kid's toy in the front seat to say, hey, let's look in the back. Even the best caregivers can make mistakes. I was a tired mom one time and I walked away from my car because I had a checklist of what I needed to buy at the grocery store. And I went, and I turned back around. We have flaws. And then T is take action. Make sure that if you see a child or an animal that's unattended in the car, call 911 as soon as you can. Have professionals come so that we can check on the child in the car and see if we need any medical attention.
Do you recommend, you know, a lot of people, they want to act fast and they don't necessarily want to wait for someone to arrive. You want to just break that window.
I understand.
Do you advise someone to do that? Or
do what you can to help the situation, but breaking a window by yourself is very difficult to do. Unless you have the tools to do it, it can be very difficult. Call 911 is the first step so you can get professionals there as soon as possible.
Absolutely. So we're talking about vehicular heat stroke. What about if you're just outside? Because there are other ways in which we can be very susceptible. Gardening, for one. Sports. That's another big one. So what are some of the symptoms and what should we look out for? What should we do to protect ourselves just so that we don't all of a sudden get hit by heat stroke?
Sure. First and foremost, you need to see what the temperature is going to be that day. Not only just the physical temperature, but we also have to look at the humidity, heat index, and see if that increases your risk of heat stroke for that day. We want to make sure that we aren't outside for long periods of time without taking breaks, staying in the shade. If you're going to be gardening and there's no shade over you, you're going to get hot very fast. Beach time is a wonderful time of the year to go out, but we can have heat stroke a lot at the beach. So we need to be mindful of taking breaks, drinking lots of fluids, and then cooling our bodies down when needed. When we're looking at signs and symptoms, we're going to be looking for dizziness, fainting. Excessive sweating is one of the first signs, and then opposite, when we start getting more advanced in heat stroke, you stop sweating because your body's starting to start saving, go into save mode. So when we start to see that somebody's not sweating and they're very hot we need to get them inside as soon as possible and start cooling that body down.
Yeah,
and then call 911.
And what do you recommend? Because sometimes, of course, wear hats and things like that, but the sun can just be searing down on the top of your head, and you can get excruciating headaches.
Yeah.
So what are some other ways that we can kind of help that in the immediate?
In addition to hats, you can have, if you're going to be outside a lot, do awnings and coverings, pop-up tents, and again, taking those breaks. And making sure you wear that sunscreen so you also don't get a burn at the same time.
And cold compresses.
Yes,
make
so
sure
you can try to do, we don't want ice packs necessarily. We want cool because we don't want to too rapidly decrease your body, but we're trying to slow down and reduce the body temperatures. So you can take a rag and soak it in water, rinse it out, and wring it out and put it around your neck, underneath your armpits, between your groin area, to start cooling the body down. And again, the best thing is to try to move them into a cool area away from the sun.
Fantastic advice, Laura. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Stay cool out there, everyone. We'll be back after this.